pristine recreational lake as you drive by Austin Peay that would also serve as a retention basin. It would have its overflow boundaries and reincorporate the walking trails, which is a big part of what goes on in the mall now. It's a big part, it's a great asset really to the mall, perhaps one of its best. And include perhaps a new Raleigh library. You have a library that's 47 years old. Include that on this site. Include not only a traffic precinct, but a police division beside it, another police precinct, by perhaps the relocation of Old Allen Precinct, which is another building that has outlived its useful life, in our opinion. What if we were to conclude it and make it look like this? This movie depicts on the right-hand side retail that would come as a result of the north-hand side public investment. Those are your tax dollars on the left that would ultimately serve to generate and garner private development on the right. We go in straight about where you enter today. We celebrate the Raleigh Springs with a series of fountains. We span toward the north. We see the library, the police precinct, the traffic division. We'll spin around. We're on the north side looking south now, having concentric parking around it so everything is entered from the outside going in, such as the open outdoor lifestyle centers that you see that are so successful now. Skate park in the foreground. Raleigh Springs Mall Plaza with an inner springs inside this colonnade. Eating establishments would show up. We're looking at all different types of options for retail. As Robert said, I don't suppose Neiman Marcus will be necessarily interested in this, but I do think we're going to have a lot of opportunity here. I think this will open up a lot of interest. A lot of interest. And have the kind of open-air retail destination center that so many people in other parts of the community enjoy and other parts of the country enjoy. We even made accommodations for a bank. You can see we're putting a very prominent spot as we swing by here with drive-through services. This is my personal favorite. He didn't tell me to put this in, but I like to bowl, so I put a bowling alley. And then the farmer's market to the right. We have several aging amenities. I mean, these things I remember growing up, and I remember going to the Raleigh Library, and it was great in its day. The Old Allen Precinct, I never visited there when I was young, but but I got to go by there recently, and it's an older building. All right, this is a comparison of a 47-year-old library and a 9-year-old library in Whitehaven. And what's interesting about this, and there's just a lot of numbers here, but look at the cost difference to operate. The annual operating cost, $22 a square foot for a building that's over twice the size and 9 years old versus the Raleigh Library. It costs so much to operate a dilapidated building. The cost savings difference alone can pay capital dollars toward this project that you saw earlier in the movie. The existing North Precinct. All right, we did this facility condition index study. The facility condition index is simply a cost of repairs of a building over the cost of replacement of the building. Generally, if a building is worth, for instance, $10 million, but it takes $1 million to fix it up, it's at a 10% FCI. Anything over 10% is generally considered in the industry something that has outlived its useful life. In other words, it's throwing good money after bad. Unless it's historic or particularly site situated, both of these buildings are in excess of 10%. In fact, the Raleigh Library is at 23.5%, which means a lot of good money going to keep it up that could be spent on a newer facility. The cost of this thing, the demolition, we're looking at about $3 million. We do have a number of existing parcels that we have identified thus far. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Robert Lipscomb. Thank you very much.
I know somebody's going to say, why Raleigh? Why not?
Amen. Yep.
Instead of asking why, let's ask why not.
Yep.
Okay, is it time to move on and do something great in Raleigh?
Yep.
And recapture what we have here, that basic, what we have a lot of good people, a lot of good neighbors. Somebody told me if we didn't do good, we're going to get run out of here. I'm not going to tell you what it was. And I think Case Winnie said the same thing, didn't she? Now anyway, I think what we're talking about is looking at the conceptual budget. This is all a concept plan, folks. It's just an idea whose time has come. And I know I keep hearing, I can feel it. We can't do that. We can't do that. Why not? You know, I heard the same thing with Peabody Place. I heard the same thing with public housing. I heard the same thing at Open Square. I heard the same thing at Bass Pro. I heard the same thing over and over again. Why? We can't do that. It's time to move forward and create a vision that why not? Why can't we do it? So this is the budget, conceptual budget only, okay? We talked about the whole demolition, if you did the whole site, and this is the entire site. We're looking at only half that, so the entire site acquisition demolition would be about $7 million. The traffic precinct, the relocation of the Old Allen precinct, and the library would cost an additional $23 million. And then you saw that nice stuff out front, the lake and all of that. That's about it, $6 million. And that's the total price tag right there. We think we should be able to attract some private investment. If the private sector sees that we're doing it, we're making it safe, we're increasing foot traffic, we're creating a vision of something new, we think and we believe, based on talking to a lot of developers, talking to a lot of private sector people, that they might come back and look and do this. They will not come back solely because of the traffic precinct. They might come back if you make this critical mass of making it safe, creating a pleasant environment, and increasing foot traffic. Does that make sense for everybody? Now, we're not going to promise anything, but it won't be Neiman Marcus, it won't be Macy's, but there's enough demand in this place right here to attract retailers. I believe that. And based on my conversation with them, they believe it too. All right, that's the private side investment. Don't know about it, but we think it's worth a try. Okay? Sources, potential sources of dollars. If we acquire the whole site, if you remember the $7 million acquisition and demolition, the entire site was $7 million. We think that either we sell it, and this is the private side, this whole site, we only envision the city with civic infrastructure taking up half of that. All right, everybody get that? All right. Then we think the traffic precinct construction and sale of the existing site, we're going to move it to one site because we already have purchased the other site. That's another almost $2 million. Okay. The library, that's down further. It's already in the CIP now. These dollars are already in the CIP. They're in the outlying years, but they're already there. Library a little bit further out. So we think the operational savings alone for the library, because it's more efficient, a new building, and the police, we think the savings there would be at least $500,000 a year because of operational efficiency, better use of energy, better use of manpower, blah, 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 okay? We think that could be at least $500,000. So we think the total, and then the other thing, the stormwater ponds that we talked about for using for the pond and all of that stuff, we're not sure. But we think if it's a flood mitigation and a stormwater issue, we think that we can use stormwater ponds. We're not sure about that because there has to be a nexus between the stormwater and the flooding in this project. Everybody get that? So we're not sure about that. So we're looking into that. If we get that, then that's another $6 million. But based on existing sources in the CIP, we think there's enough money to pay for this project. It's a timing issue, but we think there are dollars already in there for traffic, for sure. But we think that over the next few years, there's money in there in the CIP already. And should we do this? I think we should, because we got to start recapturing neighborhoods. We can't keep going out to these outlying areas to create new investment. We got to protect the investment that's already here and hopefully attract new people coming into